Okay, now we're going to talk about reducing the chance of litigation for the coach and athletic trainer. Both the coach and the athletic trainer have a duty to those athletes that they take care of. It is important for them to take certain steps to minimize or to maximize, their chances of avoiding litigation and keep athletes safe from harm. It is important for them to take certain steps to maximize their chances of avoiding litigation and keeping athletes safe from harm. So, go the extra mile to keep them safe. As we all know, we love our athletic trainer for doing that. Okay, the coach can reduce their chances of facing litigation by following these guidelines. Number one, warn athletes of potential dangers involved in sport. You need to be aware as an athlete of what could happen, and coaches and athletic trainers are responsible for that, especially the coach. Supervise regularly and attentively in practice to make sure they're doing the drill right. I mean, don't be starting them in a drill and they go over and picking your nose and going to use the bathroom and coming back. Take care of your team. Watch and supervise. This can even, if you want to take this extra step, is supervising the locker rooms. Make sure there's someone there to supervise the locker room if you're a coach of a sport of the opposite sex. So if you're a male coach coaching a female sport, obviously don't go in the locker room, but have somebody to watch the locker rooms. Prepare and condition athletes. Make sure they're in the right shape for their sport. Instruct the athletes on skills of their respective sports, okay? Teach them the sport. Teach them how to play. Ensure proper and safe equipment and facilities. We don't want people to get hurt using our facilities, okay? And we don't want them to get hurt because we have faulty equipment, so make sure it's safe. Having professional liability insurance. Coaches should have this. A lot of them are covered under teachers associations, even as a coach. For the athletic trainer, work to establish good working relationships with athletes, parents, and coworkers. Make sure you have a good working relationship. You communicate with them. Communication is the key. And having a good attitude about things. Not coming in a bad attitude, treating people bad. It's kind of like the golden rule. Treat others as you'd have them treat you. Or do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. Treat people the way you want to be treated. And sometimes that takes work. It doesn't just happen today. Sometimes that's not something that comes natural for some people, but you have to work at it. Establish policies regarding athletic training facility and coverage. Establish policies as far as who's going to be in your training room, how they're going to be coming to your training room, and what sports you're going to cover and how you're going to run the training room if you've got a sport going on that day. Develop emergency action plan. What are you going to do if an emergency happens on the field? Develop that policy and how that's going to be handled. Know the medical history of athletes. We have to know those kind of things, and that's why we rely on athletes as athletic trainers. Put down correct medical history no matter how bad it is. Even if you have like celiac disease or something like that, that's something you live with all the time, we need to know that because we don't just know that just because we see your bright, shining, smiling face every day as an athlete. Maintain adequate records. Records. Make sure you know who's coming in and out. Make sure you know what you're doing to those athletes as they come in. Exercise caution with regards to medication distribution and modality use. Use them as they're supposed to be used and know how to use them. Don't just hand out tons of medication just because the athlete asks for it, okay? Detailed job description. You want to know what your job is. It's good to have that written on paper. Obtain written consent relative to providing health care. So make sure that you have permission from the parents to provide the health care, whether it be sending somebody to the doctor or working on them in the training room. Maintain confidentiality. Only let the coach of that athlete know what's going on and you. That's it. You don't need to tell the football coach about an injured volleyball athlete if they don't coach that athlete. They have to know those kind of things. But maintain confidentiality. Ensure safe equipment and facilities. You don't want something that will harm somebody setting out in the training rooms. So make sure it's safe. Follow physician's orders, particularly when dealing with participation of the athlete. You have to follow a doctor's orders. You cannot override. So if they say, dunk the athlete's hand in hot water 55 times and make them hop in a circle, you do that if that's what the doctor's orders are. But really, that's not going to happen because that would probably be outside the scope of practice or outside of usual treatment of an athlete. But if the doctor says that somebody's out for 2 weeks, they're out for 2 weeks, and you follow those orders. Purchase liability insurance. Always have that as an athletic trainer because you are you are a health professional. You're a medical professional, so it's good to have that liability insurance in case somebody wants to come after you. Know your scope of practice. What can you do and what can you not do? And use common sense. This is the biggest thing I think people forget nowadays. Use common sense when you're working with an athlete. If they can't walk on something, give them crutches. That's common sense. If you're afraid to put heat on them, go ahead and use ice. That won't hurt them, but know what is the common sense thing to do for an injury. Professional liability insurance. Let's talk about this a little bit. Protects against damages that may arise from injuries occurring on school property. Covers against claims of negligence on part of the individuals. Because of the rise in lawsuits, professionals must be fully protected, particularly in regards to negligence. Because you never know when somebody's going to cry out that you didn't treat their child right, or that child's going to say you didn't treat them right. Will cover negligence in civil cases, not criminal complaint. Meaning, covers you if there's a monetary deal, will not cover you if it's a major criminal lawsuit, like you actually hurt the student, like you tripped him, punched him, or something like that, or even into other things that could cause you to have jail time. It only covers you in cases for civil damages. Every professional should have professional liability insurance, coaches and athletic trainers. As a general rule, an athletic trainer must use reasonable care to prevent further injury until further medical care is obtained. Don't do something stupid, and protect them, split them. Do whatever you got to do to get that athlete where they won't injure themselves further trying to get to the doctor where they can, wherever they need to be for further treatment and evaluation. Take, for instance, you ask the question, should we let him go back in and play? No. Always answer no. Err on the side of caution so you don't make an injury worse. If by chance the coach or athletic trainer does face litigation, adhere to the following general guidelines. Retain an attorney. File with your professional liability insurance. Do not talk with anybody about the situation. Refer to all documentation. Okay?